Hey everybody, this is John Fenn, and this is part two of freedom from watching intimate things on video and other habitual sins. Some real keys today. But first, I want you to know about our website, cwowi.org. We're a house church network. I encourage you to sign up for my weekly thoughts, my monthly newsletter, and and especially like that's where we put information about our conferences, Zoom meetings, things of that nature, prophetic things. So cwowi.org. All right, part two today, talking about freedom from these things. So last time I shared the truth that we see in Genesis chapter 3, which is that before Adam and Eve sinned, they believed a lie. So I made the statement that a lie most often comes before the sin. And I mentioned the fact that John 8:44, Jesus said that when Satan speaks a lie, he speaks of his own. That is, he's all by himself. So he's in the kingdom of darkness. He's bound to the chains of darkness, but he wants to expand his kingdom. He wants to bring other people into chains of darkness. And so he will entice. James chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. Well, verse 13 says, don't let anybody say when he's being tempted or tested or tried that God's doing it to him, because God doesn't test with evil. Neither would he test any man with evil. And he says, but everybody's drawn away of his own lust and enticed. James 1:14. So the lust or the desire for sin we have within us, but the enticing is what the demonic does. So Satan's out there speaking all by himself. He's looking for somebody to agree with him. And if he can speak that lie and get a person to agree with them, then to them that lie becomes truth. Now, I want to go a little bit further and talk about the fact that often Satan uses half-truths. That is, half-truth, half-lie, to entangle somebody in his chain of darkness. For instance, we go back to Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. And we'll see that Satan said this. He says, has God said, when you eat of it, you won't die. You'll be like God. You'll know the difference between good and evil. Now, that was true because the Lord had told Adam in the garden, he said, don't eat of this tree or it's the knowledge of good and evil. God only wants us to know good and know his goodness. And Satan told the truth. You'll be like God. You'll have the knowledge of good and evil. But the lie was you won't die when you eat of it. So that half-truth is there. For instance, let me give you for instance. Let's say, well, let me go on in the life of Jesus, in the temptation of Jesus in Luke chapter 4. Now, in Luke chapter 4, from verses 1 through 12, we're given the three categories, just categories, by which Jesus was tempted. That was first physical, then in his soulish realm, and then spiritually. The first one was turning stones to bread. And Satan said to him, hey, you're God's son, so turn these stones to bread. You're hungry, do it. And that is certainly true, that he was the Son of God in the midst of that temptation. Jesus countered that truth, and the lie was, so make it hungry. It would sure feel good. Satisfy your hunger for this. Jesus countered that with the deeper truth of God's word by saying that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. By the way, that word in the Greek that word for word is rhema, R-H-E-M-A. It means when God speaks to us, when God communicates to us. So man does not live by bread alone and not by the logos. Doesn't mean the logos, like read your 2 chapters a day. That's not what it says. But man is fed by God speaking to us. I live for that communication in my spirit from my Father or the Lord. So then Satan took him up on the high pinnacle. He said, hey, you're God's son, so prove yourself, throw yourself down and you'll be okay, because it says angels will be in charge of you. But then Jesus countered it with a deeper truth. You don't tempt the Lord your God. So Satan used the truth, he's God's son, and the temptation, the lie was prove it to everybody. And then a similar thing with worship me, I'll give you the kingdoms of the world. And he said, because it's been delivered to me. And that was the truth. Adam gave the kingdoms of this world over to him. He's the God of this world. But Jesus said, countered it with truth. You worship the Lord your God. So last week when I talked about intimate things seen, I said that you counter it with Leviticus chapter 18. And Leviticus 18 is all about you shall not uncover the nakedness of your mom, your aunt, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. It is their own to see. And so you counter that with the truth. Because here's the half truth in this. Let's say a woman or a man posts something. The truth is, well, they posted it. They posted it. They opened the door for this, for me to view and for others to view this. Well, that's true. They did. But the lie is, so then it's okay for me to watch. So he combines the truth with the lie, then it's okay for me to watch. You counter it with, because you know Leviticus chapter 18, that's not for me to see. Just because they don't have any boundaries, I have boundaries. It's up to me. I know more. I know the Lord. I'm walking with God. It's up for me to establish those boundaries. So let's see how this happens. Let's say in a divorce situation. Mom and dad sit down. They tell the kids we're getting a divorce. What do the children do? It's my fault. If I wasn't alive, if I'd cleaned my room, if I'd been more obedient, mom and dad would not be getting a divorce. The kids take that lie on themselves. But what was the truth? Well, they didn't pick up their room, and they were disobedient, and they do complicate their parents' lives. That's true. But children are a welcome complication for us. But children can't see that. So when mom and dad sit down and say, hey, kids, we're getting a divorce, the kid believes the lie. It's my fault. If I wasn't alive, mom and dad would still be together. If I had picked up my room, if I had been more obedient, if I had helped around the house. And all those lies are heaped upon them. It's true that they didn't help around the house like they could have. It's true that they didn't pick up their room like they could have. It's true that they weren't a perfect kid. But the lie is that they're to blame for their parents' issues. So Satan uses half-truths, that is a part of a truth and part of a lie, to ensnare people and to expand his kingdom of darkness. So other situations, it may be going back to when you're a child being abused and molested, etc. And so they believe the lie that it was my fault, or I was too pretty, I was too handsome, I opened the door for this, I kind of flirted, I was just being sweet, it's my fault somehow, it's my fault that he or she did this to me. And that's a lie. Well, the truth may be you are a person who is good looking, or you are playing around with that person, not meaning anything by it, but you were just joking and everything else. You had no idea that would be some sort of a perverse open the door for that perpetrator. But Satan gets a person to believe the lie. So then they believe the lie. It's my fault. I caused this somehow. I don't know how. Where was God? When I needed him, etc. And so they mix the truth of who they are in that family, in that kid. Yes, they were joking around, etc. They didn't mean to open any door. And they mix that with the lie that it's their fault. And so they grow up through life and they're looking for love in that same way. We knew a lady who talked to us, and we worked with her a lot in her life. And she when she got married to a good, godly man, she tried to provoke him to hit her. And she later figured it out. She explained, she said, when I was growing up, my mom had a series of boyfriends, and every single one of them would slap her around. So when I grew up, I just believed that's how a man showed love to a woman. Well, that was a lie. And so the truth was that she was looking for love, and she's looking for a mom and dad, a husband-wife relationship in there. But the lie was, this is how a man treats a woman. So she grew up with this, believing the lie, but also seeing the truth that there is marriage, there is a good relationship between men and women. So figure out for yourself. I've just given you a couple examples. You could go back to food. You could go back to exercise. You could, this is gonna, I'm exercising because it's gonna make me better, longer lasting in life, more stamina, more attractive, get a better job. Whatever the thing is, you can look at that and you say, I'm going to do that. And it's true, exercise is good. But then it becomes a half-truth. And so it becomes bondage. So you can apply this to anything. I just share these principles with you here, that the lie comes before the sin, and then look for the half-truth and the half-lie. Unbelieve the lie. Unbelieve the lie. All right, John Fenn, Church Without Walls International, CWOWI.org.